surely he'll pull the thing out and move up into 30 cars into turn 1. Oh, and he sits Augusto up for good measure as well. Fernandez on Fernandez, no mercy at all from the younger of the pair, the most experienced in Moto 2. The Gian Antonio's got his head down and got some really good early rhythm here in Jerez. 41.524, comfortably the fastest man on circuit, couple of tenths quicker than Gardner and Augusto Fernandez, who was at the time immediately behind him. So far so good, new best race lap early on for Fabio Di Gianantonio on the Federal Oil Grassini Moto 2 machine of 41.524, and already there you can see 7 tenths he's got now on Remy Gardner in second. Yeah, so it is Lowe's and has got that 1.8 seconds to bridge back. He's got time, he's got ample time, 21 laps to go, but with the pace that Di Gianantonio's running, that's Fernandez. I think that's Fernandez. Oh, is it? It's Fernandez who's gone down. Oh, no, it's someone else. Buliga now as well. At turn 6, and he looks pretty hurt, the Italian. He's shaking his head. Is he going to get back on his feet? Oh, with the greatest respect to Sam Lowe's, I just thought, actually, it looks like a slightly taller man in those VDS racing leathers than him. And it's Augusto Fernandez, who's really good recent performances. He was looking for a third successive top 6. Well, that's not going to happen. And Nicolo Buliga, his wretched form continues. Buliga hobbles away. Bored and disappointed. He was going to have a long lap penalty in this Grand Prix. Let's try and find out what happened to the pair of them as they come into Pedrosa corner. Augusto Fernandez was going pretty hot into turn 6. Yeah, he just couldn't hold on there. That's just that outbreak himself. Buliga, he come from a long way back to pull a move himself. Yeah. Unfortunately, the front end giving way. That's just, well, Nicolo Buliga now, it means his horrible run continues. Just 2 points taken in the last 11 starts for him. Sam Lowe's fastest lap of the race at 41.3 to the bridge. Yeah, and Lowe's now knows he hasn't got to contend with trying to find a way through on his teammate Fernandez, who's already down, so makes his job slightly easier to get back on par with the 2 Red Bull KTM bikes ahead of him. That's Remy Gardner, Kia's rider. Both of his riders, Raul Fernandez, just closing up onto the tail. In fact, on this lap of the Aussie, still out front though. Di Gianantonio builds his lead. He's up to 8 tenths clear now. Yeah, somebody's having another excellent ride. It's the man in 7th place, the rookie Ayagura, who's piling the pressure on Vierre here at the moment. He really has adapted well into this Moto 2 World Championship. The Japanese rider, of course, we get another top 10. On board here with the Elfmark VDS rider Sam Lowe's. He's got a good view there of the Red Bull KTM riders that lead, of course, the championship. He'll have his eyes firmly fixed on these 2. But when the grip went away in Portugal, and it did drop off in pretty spectacular fashion for a number of the lead group, it was the last 5 or 6 laps where Raul Fernandez was untouchable. He kept something, particularly in that rear Dunlop tyre, to have something that just allowed him, once he got to the front, he was able to streak away as well. Was he already perhaps just thinking about end of race tyre life as he starts to come under a bit more threat from Sam Lowe's in 4th. Well, what we do know about Sam Lowe's is now he's escaped the drama of the first few laps this year so far. When he's got into his rhythm, no one's been able to touch him. As we go across the line there, Lowe's at 41.6. They're all pretty much doing the same laps at the moment. Sankiat Chatra then, after a bit of a muddle on the grid, has crashed now at turn 11, the Thai rider. That's the fast old crash. He's holding his right wrist there. That's rapid. That's one of the fastest corners around this Jerez circuit. Yeah, barrel rolling. Yeah, bike and rider go tumbling along through the gravel track. That looked painful. That could be a fracture potentially there for Sankiat Chatra. I hope he's okay. He's a bit too on a teenager rider. Credit here to Di Gianantonio, Steve. First time now he's disadvantaged out to over a second. At the moment, Gardner and Fernandez just haven't quite got this kind of early speed that the Italian possesses. You know, the Gardner's, he knows from the first 3 races that it's going to be difficult for Di Gianantonio to maintain this pace the whole way through. Yeah, and of course, to run this pace, Steve, I mean, how much rubber is Di Gianantonio having to use himself? To be fair to Marco Bezzecchi, he's done well to claw back this gap to Sam Lowe's, because he fell back a long way after going straight on at turn 6 on the opening lap. Yeah, well, last year he did crash here in Jerez, but not during the Grand Prix, thankfully. It was post-race, wasn't it, when he tangled with his teammate Luca Marini, and rather an embarrassing incident for the Sky VR 46 boys. So often in Moto 2 of late, we've seen a tale of two halves in terms of the races. Things just sort of settling at the moment, and then it all sort of goes a bit mad later when everyone's trying to ride around grip issues. You can still see there in the background, Jerez is holding off the charge of Agura, and it's a hard charge as well coming in from the rookie. They'll be quite eager if he can, Agura, to get through on Jerez, and then see if he's got the pace to maybe get in touch with that quartet ahead of him, the likes of Gardner, Fernandez, Lowe's and Bezzecchi. If it were not for Ralph Fernandez and the magic that he's producing, Matt, as a rookie, we'd be going mad about how quick Agura is. He's doing a brilliant job. Well, let's not forget as well, Jerez is coming up close to 100 Moto 2 appearances. This is Agura's fourth, and he's not looking like a man who's well over 90 races less experience in this category than the man ahead of him, is he? Now the back behind the duo that you're looking at the moment, Joe Roberts is in 8th place, then it's Marcos Ramirez, Canet 10th, then it's Schrotter, Bodier, and Navarro, and that is Hector Gartho, who's gone down. He was out of the points in 16th place when he went down, but it's been a rough old start to 2021, unfortunately, for the Spanish rider. It's a real conundrum, isn't it, what's happened to Hector Gartho so far this year? The front end going for him in the Pedrosa corner. Similar crash to what happened to Booniger and Fernandez earlier in the Grand Prix, but head scratcher right now because Gartho ended 2020 so good, but has not been able to find anything like that kind of form at the start of 2021. He's badly overdue a decent result. Thought he might be onto something in Portugal with a top 10, but he's going to have to pick himself up again when we head to the French Grand Prix in a couple of weeks' time. Across the line, and fastest lap personally for Gian Antonio. He's now a second and a half clear on these two on screen. The only guy, Steve, that was really close that time of the Gian Antonio was the man in fifth, Bezzecchi, into the 41.6. Remy Gardner was back in the 42s on that last lap, and out of nowhere, the Gian Antonio took 6/10 out of the Australian. Rear end slide there for Sam Lowe's. That will give Bezzecchi a chance just to close onto his tail as they make their way around turn 5 and onto the back straight. We really don't want to put the mockers on Fabio the Gian Antonio, but last year there were some golden chances for wins when bagging weren't there, Steve. You remember in Aragon a couple laps ago, and then Valencia on the very last lap. Yeah, it's happened too many times before, and I'm sure that'll be on his mind as well. Fabio the Gian Antonio at the moment, he's in a very good position to try and put that right. At the moment, he's got a 1.7 second lead over Remy Gardner. We're on board here with Raul Fernandez in third, closing onto the pair of them, Sam Lowe's and Marco Bezzecchi. Yeah, you do wonder whether perhaps Fernandez, Lowe's, Bezzecchi behind Gardner have perhaps got that slightly better speed to try and hunt down the Gian Antonio. I'm not saying that Gardner's a rolling roadblock right now, but quite clearly at the moment he's not got the pace to go with the Gian Antonio ahead of him. It's like there's a bit of gravel on track there around the fast corners of Sam Lowe's there. That was a deep lunge into turn 13. So the Gian Antonio is going to come over the line to start lap number 8 with a 2-second buffer, it used to feel. Another 41.6 from him. Yeah, it is 2 seconds. First time they've gone free. Bezzecchi up the inside of Lowe's. Beautifully done. Textbook move that up the hill into the first corner. Sam Lowe's wanted to try and get back on the cutback there, but there's not enough room here in Jerez. So yeah, good stuff from the Italian. Yeah, those two have had a fair amount of battle royales in the past, haven't they? Bezzecchi and Sam Lowe's, they'll know each other intimately, their strengths and weaknesses. And at the moment, the Gian Antonio, you can just see him there, peeling through the Fox corner. He's checking out, clearing off into the distance, and nobody's got anything for him right now at this stage of the race. No, he's the only rider, well, him and Bezzecchi, the only riders in the 141s at present. Down towards turn 6. It's as you were. That's a significant gap he's been able to pull, isn't it? When you look at the advantage he has over the last 2 laps, he's been 6/10 quicker on both than Remy Gardner. So it's not even close. It's not like he's just stretching out a 10th, a 10th and a half, a 10th or 2. It's quite a big gap he's pulling away. You just wonder though, how long can he maintain it? There's only 7 laps gone. There's a lot of race left here as Gardner then drops back to third. His teammate is through. Bezzecchi also thought the door was going to be left wide open at turn 10. It wasn't. He got it slammed shut in his face, and in turn he loses the place up the inside of turn number 11. Nice move by Lowe's, who lights up that Dunlop rear tyre as he got on the gas to set himself up through turn 12 as well. That was a brave move there. That's fast place to be overtaking. So can Raul Fernandez then, and now having got past his teammate, do anything about this 2.7 second lead for Fabio Di Giannantonio? Yeah. And again, Stephen, Di Giannantonio another 41.6. That's about 3 in a row. There's a carbon copy move again from Bezzecchi on Lowe's into the first corner. Second time he's made that move. He gets great drive coming out of turn 13 with a bit of slipstream, bit of clear air behind Lowe's. He's able to just pull out on the inside line, leave his braking out a little bit later, and with the inside line, nothing Lowe's can do about it. Bezzecchi has put into the first corner. Right, round turn 4 there again, sliding Sam Lowe's, trying to retaliate on Marco Bezzecchi. Round turn 5 we go. Let's get through the next sector and find out whether or not Raul Fernandez has just cut a tenth or so back to Di Giannantonio. It's 2.6, there's no change. He is able to sort of put a bit of daylight though already between himself and Gardner in third. That gap's already got up to about 3 tenths. And you can clearly see there from the helicopter shot, Fernandez just has got the better edge grip on the left side there coming through turn number 7. And Gardner's out a little bit wide coming through 8 as well. At the moment it just looks like Fernandez has got that rear tyre just hooking up a little bit better through the fast corners. A lot less breeze, in fact hardly any at all here today in Jerez. Nice sunny day, so track temperatures are a little different to what these guys were testing out yesterday. This is a very accomplished performance right now by Fabio Di Giannantonio. He's just doing mid-41s for fun at the moment. There's nobody else can find a 41. This quartet behind him on that last lap again was still in the 42s. Will it change this time around? Now Fernandez has got that clear daylight in front of him. Another 41.6 from Di Giannantonio, and Fernandez does respond. As soon as he got ahead of Gardner, he's picked up the pace, and for the first time in a long time, Di Giannantonio is not the quickest man around this Jerez circuit. Raul Fernandez, the race winner, last time out as close between Gardner and Bezzecchi. It's a matter of time now before the Italian surely tries to pick off Gardner, who in the opening stages of this race, the Aussie, just seeming to struggle to stay on pace. Fabio Di Giannantonio, it would be some emotional moment, wouldn't it, if he could take a win in Gresini colours. The Gresini team haven't had a win in Moto 2, I doubt, since Sam Lowe's was on board. I'm not saying this is a factor, but it may well be. It was certainly a factor in the past, as Bezzecchi now fires up the inside of Gardner into turn 6, and he picks him straight back up. That's how you have to do it. You get past, make the move straight back, take it back. Remy Gardner has had problems with his natural physical stature, hasn't he, in the past, but perhaps his weight. He's one of the tallest and heaviest riders in Moto 2. Perhaps just wears that rear tyre a little bit quicker than some of the other riders. And when you look at Fernandez ahead of him, much shorter and much lighter. I'm not saying that is a factor, but it's something to perhaps take into consideration. He's got this lap. Sam Lowe's has just dropped a couple of tenths actually on Gardner and Bezzecchi as well. So he's just dropped back a bit in 5th. There's then a mammoth gap back to Xavi Vierge in 6th, who's still just about ahead of Ayagura. Ayagura must be sick of the sights of Vierge's rear tyre. He's been stuck there for quite some time. Likewise, Joe Roberts not really making any significant inroads into Vierge and Ayagura. He's got Canet for company. Ramirez still in the top 10. Cameron Barbier doing another good job there. He's in 12th spot. Yeah, nothing really going at the moment for Jorge Navarro. His form has just dropped off a cliff, hasn't it? And Oscar Zuzgoro Shatsi was on the podium last time out, thanks to Aaron Canet, but Jorge Navarro hasn't got going yet. Yeah, Gardner's got back into some good rhythm here. He was doing 42.2s, 42.3s for a couple of laps. Now, he himself was down to 141.6s, which was the kind of pace that got Di Giannantonio in this comfortable lead of over 2 seconds. Finati touched upon this, Steve, in Moto 3. I mean, he said that there was a bit of breeze around. It was when he was at the front of the grid, he was holding up a little bit. I wonder if that was the case with Gardner, maybe. Bezzecchi has gone through on Remy Gardner. Yeah, that could be the case, couldn't it? Although the flags opposite us on the grandstand, they're sort of barely moving, aren't they? Yeah. You're right about Sam Lowe, Steve. He's struggling to run the pace here at the moment, isn't he? Let's watch a replay of the start of this race then, up towards turn 1. Just squeezing the brakes on a tad later there was Gian Antonio to take the lead of the race. And that was really the last time anybody saw him. Yeah, it was. He's still maintaining a 2.6 second lead at the moment out front, the number 21. Yeah, on that last lap, Sam Lowe's at 141.9. Struggling to stay in the 41s. Hey, this race could still turn us yet, because we're not even halfway through as yet. Sam on the opening couple of laps had to work very, very hard just to get himself into contention, so we'll see if that plays a big part shortly. I'm losing count how many 41.6s the Gian Antonio has done. Incredible speed and consistency to match it as well. Fernandez was just a whisker slower, so he's right on the limit as well, but not running the identical lap time to the Gian Antonio, although he's mighty, mighty close. And again, it's Gardner, after a couple of flashes in the 146s on that last circuit, he's dropped back into the 42s once again, and now dropping back into the clutches of Sam Lowe's. You know, in Moto 3, Aki Ayaho's man, Pedro Acosta, is making headlines and surprising us constantly, but you have to admire Rafa Fernandez so much, what he's doing here. Moto 2 is such a difficult class, and he is masterful here at the moment. As things stand, I think he'd be the championship leader going into Le Mans. Yeah, he would be. There's a couple of incredible. A couple of rookie sensations in Moto 3 and Moto 2, isn't there, right now? Gardner again spinning up that Dunlop tyre through turn number 8. Not really the 100th Grand Prix he'd have been hoping for pre-race. That hasn't panned out. These two have been locked in tandem together pretty much since the get-go, and still Vierge resisting Agura. A few rumours around that Xavi Vierge is going to have to produce something pretty special in the next few GPs if he's to hold on to that ride in the Petronas Sprinter team. Silly season has well and truly begun. Well, it really hasn't showed us the kind of potential everybody thought he had, the promise everybody thought he had, and he's been in good teams. He's been in Dynamo Impact, he's been in Margaritas Racing, teams that have got proven pedigree, and not just winning races but winning world championships as well. It didn't work for him there, and Petronas Sprinter Racing, Petronas. It's not been a pretty weekend here. The race winner in Jerez in Moto 3 last year, the world champion, down at turn 8. That's not his first crash of the weekend, unfortunately. Remember, it was last year where he had that monumental crash at turn 11 in Moto 3, that super slow-mo where he got pinged up by the bike. Great camera work. Not for a full rolled Albertarenas, yeah. Still 2.5 seconds the lead here as we reach the halfway point of this Moto 2 race. The Gian Antonio well on top. Bezzecchi now closing in on Fernandez, but a mistake into turn 6. I'd wager that's probably double figures now in terms of lap times in 41.6 just for Fabio the Gian Antonio. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that's class. When you not giving Fernandez or anybody else a sniff here. When you're able to put in lap times like that consistently, not putting a foot wrong, and that's the reason why he's building on his lead at front at the moment. Sam Lowe's and Remy Gardner, well, they were battling for the wins in Qatar at the moment. They're standing toe-to-toe, fighting it out for 4th place. Gardner here just up ahead of Sam Lowe's, who are on board with, so he approaches fast right-handers. Now on board with Raul Fernandez. Yeah, we're only just over half race distance. There's a long way to go here for Gardner to keep Lowe's behind him. It's not going to be an easy task. Gian Antonio, if he won this, puts himself well in frame for the World Championship. All of a sudden, you can just see there the live championship. There'd be 20 points between 4 riders. Yeah, it was Sam Lowe's, I think, Aragon 2016, the last time the Grazzini team won in Moto 2. And right now, you've got to say, it's going to take a late disaster, really. Tyres falling off a cliff with the Gian Antonio to disrupt his rhythm here. Yet again, another 41 season. We are starting to sound like a broken record here, but you've just got to admire the man's consistency. There's no deviation in lap times at all, just hundreds or thousands, not tens. It's been brilliant. If you're listening to us in the IPF track, guys, we'd love to see a lap tally of Fabio Di Gian Antonio, just to see his consistency, because I actually think it's not the first time he's actually done a 141.647. I think that's the second time he's done that exact lap. Incredible consistency from the Italian. We've not seen anything like this, no, from Digia, not in Moto 2. You know, it's not like Fernandez is really giving up the ghost here. He's still doing high 41s. He has to, because he's got Bezzecchi breathing all the way down his neck. But absolutely right now, this man has been a class apart. A league of his own. Pure brilliance by Fabio Di Giannantonio. A rare trip to the front row for Digia, and it's done the trick, hasn't it? Really has done the trick. Brilliant start, led into turn one, and they have not been able to get close to him since. Well, anything but a 41.6 now would be a disaster for Fabio Di Giannantonio. Slacker. What's he going to do on this current lap? He's still got that 2.5 second lead over Raul Fernandez, which is a very nice, comfortable margin to have at this stage of the race. Here he comes over the line again now. Terrible. Absolutely shocking. Abysmal 141.773. I can see you keeping your eyes on the lap chart there, Matt. So, 2.4 seconds in, the gap just comes down slightly on that last lap. It was a 41.5 for both Fernandez and Bezzecchi. I'll tell you what, Steve, the MV Agusta team just need to pack up and get out of Jerez at the earliest opportunity. They've got 3 riders here this weekend. Baldassari, Corsi back in action. That's a big spill at turn 11 for Corsi. Look at that bike, Steve. Oh, goodness me. I've lost count now how many crashes the MV Agusta team have had. And do you know what? They've all been big. Jack Miller mentioned yesterday about the size of the gravel here in Jerez. I think he's got a very good point, because they've got Marco Baldassari and Corsi in action this weekend, and I'm not being funny. The spare parts guy, MV Agusta, needs a holiday right now. Well, hopefully the riders are all okay physically. The bikes certainly aren't battered and bruised. They're going to need the week off before France. They can't run 3 bikes in Le Mans because they haven't got 3 bikes to run in Le Mans. It's a bike and the gravel track at the top of the picture there. The most important thing, of course, is, on a serious note, that all 3 riders are perfectly A-OK, because that was a fast crash for Corsi going into turn number 11. Of course, he's back in action for the first time here this weekend after missing the opening 3 Grand Prix with a broken wrist. Further back, there's not much change through the order. Agura's still behind Vierge, Roberts is 8th, Canet 9th, Ramirez still 10th, and then it's Schrotter, Beaubier, Navarro, Manzi and Baldassari in 15th place out of Ben Snyder and Dalla Porta. Another high 141 then from the Giannantonio. Gap is just coming down ever so slightly. Yeah, Gardner has just started to warm up ever so slightly. Is it too little too late for the Aussie, or has he still got a part to play? He's in 4th. Sam Lowe's still just behind him, and here's Mark VDS machine. Yeah, we said what a tough task it might be for Gardner to hold Lowe's at bay. Of course, it's an even complicated task for Lowe to try and find a way through it. At the moment, he's got no answers to Gardner ahead of him. So the gap's come down to 2.2 for the first time. Now, is there going to be some late pressure? There is no doubt about it, Matt, despite the brilliance of Fabio Di Giannantonio, given recent history that you brought up at the start of this race. It will be crossing his mind when he looks at that pit board and he sees the gap coming down. At the moment, it's fine. Anything above a second, no problemo. He'll be happy, but if it does come to under a second, there might just be a few nerves. Yeah, when he blew that podium in Aragon, then he was up leading on the last lap in Valencia, wasn't he, when it all went horribly wrong. Fingers crossed for him and the Gresini team after all they've been through so far in 2021. That he does get the job done here today. The pressure's coming, though, from the rookie sensation, Raul Fernandez. So here is Fabio Di Giannantonio, 2.2 seconds he has over Raul Fernandez there, with Bezzecchi hot on his tail. Bezzecchi at the moment looks well set for his first podium of 2021. Yeah, I think if Giannantonio sees the pit board and still sees it's plus 2 seconds, he won't be too perturbed by that. He'll think that, yeah, I can easily manage that to the end of the race. If it starts coming under 2 seconds, but right now, this is just a test of his focus and concentration. He's been out front on his lonesome for such a long time. He's been able to be fast and consistent. And yet again, now he's sort of locked into the 41.9s. And at the moment, Fernandez is only able to take a 10th back, which just won't be good enough. Fernandez is slightly the quicker man, but he just can't find a way through to get that gap down to under 2 seconds. 7 laps to go, and Iagura still can't find a way through on Xavi Vierge in the battle for 6th place. This is the helicopter view of the fight for 2nd and 3rd. And at the moment, you've got to say Lowe's is running out of steam here in this podium battle. Although, that said, when you look at his lap times, he was the quickest of the top 5 men, no, not quite, but Bezzecchi was 1,000 faster than Sam Lowe's, but a 41.7 from Sam Lowe's but he's, what, half a second back of Gardner? Yeah, and when there's no overtaking going on up ahead to slow the pace down, it's not going to be quick enough to try and fight. And like you said, Steve, everything's so evenly matched. The identical Triumph 765cc motors, same Dunlop tyres, same electronics. It's very, very hard to make up the difference, isn't it? Through into what should be a wall of noise where we have fans here. Turns 8, 9 and 10. Now coming up to the fast turn 11. Bit of a wheelie. A very good second and third sectors on this lap 17 for the Gian Antonio. That gap had come down to 2.1 seconds at the start of this lap, and he's found 3/10 already in sectors 2 and 3, just to stretch it back out to a comfortable 2.4. Yeah, when he saw the gap had come down, we're looking here at Benteke challenging Raul Fernandez there side by side, and he does go through. Nice stuff there from Benteke. He goes through into second place. The Gian Antonio has responded very well at 41.6, I believe, sir. Yes. Shakira. Yes. Gardner's just set his fastest lap of the race, a PB from the Aussie at 41.597. He still fancies a podium to mark his century of Grand Prix appearances, and this has been a good ride actually by Benteke, because he has struggled particularly in the last 10 laps or so in all 3 Grand Prix so far. Best we've seen by him all consistently this year. Twitch on the front end there for Raul Fernandez. That's what running wide. Benteke the chance to get through, so they're happy. Yeah, this would be such a confidence booster for Benteke. He's looked a bit down in the dumps the first few GPs. The gap now 2.7 seconds out front. Not a bad time to start coming to the fore, Steve, when the boss, Valentino Rossi, is unveiling plans for a 2-rider MotoGP team. Marco Benteke will have big desires on one of those seats. We saw him in Parc Ferme yesterday. He's never looked more Slash from Guns N' Roses, has he? No. Well, I don't have an appetite for destruction. He's got an appetite for some Prosecco right now, hasn't he? Remy Gardner's pace has come at the wrong time of the race, hasn't it? He, at the moment, we're just about hold on to a championship lead by 1 point as things stand. Has he got anything left in him in a fight for a podium? Rather than this quartet hunt down the Gian Antonio, it's going the other way. The Gian Antonio is pulling away. Now the advantage is the biggest it's ever been in this Grand Prix. 2.8 seconds it was through sector 3. 41.7 from the Gian Antonio. It's down to 2.5, so Benteke really strong in that fourth sector on that previous lap. It's been the race of his life so far, the Gian Antonio. He has not put a foot wrong. Such a likeable, popular character, isn't he? Full of zest for life, Fabio the Gian Antonio, and as we said, him personally and the whole of the Gresini family, and the MotoGP community as well, with a very difficult start to 2021 with a sad loss of Fausto Gresini, complications from COVID-19, but Fabio's doing him proud right now, that's for sure. Yeah, and if he is to set foot or wrap his leg around a brand new Aprilia RSGP next year, and he's timed that pretty well at the moment. He has, yeah, it's the best Aprilia RSGP we've seen in MotoGP. Now then, Benteke's put clear daylight between himself and Fernandez. Fernandez trying to hunt down that gap to the Gian Antonio. Looks like he's overcooked his tyres, particularly maybe the front end of that moment he had turn 13. Fernandez right now struggling. As you'd expect, it's easy to forget he is a rookie. He doesn't have experience, a lot of experience of end of race scenarios in Moto 2. So these kind of little blips, they are going to come. Yeah, Remy Gardner can smell a podium here. Sam Lowe's might smell a fourth place coming as well. Out front, it's 2.5 still the gap. And what Remy Gardner knows as well, Steve, the World Championship leads up for grabs here. Here he comes. On the inside into turn 30. No, not quite. Not close enough. Yeah, absolutely. This is all about the championship. All 3 of those guys know it as well. Priceless and precious championship points up for grabs here. Yeah, it's very early doors, but points make prizes, don't they? Well, that, in truth, these 5 guys, because Benteke gets launched back into the championship frame with a second place as well, it's not a huge surprise to see 4 of the 5 fighting here. We expected to see them. Raul was the surprise package, no doubt. Yeah. Well, I've got to say, I've got to put my hands up, given how strong we saw Lowe's, Gardner and Benteke in the winter testing. I would not have been parting with too much of my hard-earned on Fabio the Gian Antonio having a couple of podiums in the first 4, including a runaway start to finish dominant win. No, which he hasn't done yet. Let's be be honest.
Well, I think that's the reason why perhaps not many people would have backed him today, because he has had these opportunities and he's blown them. But hey, I hope we're not putting the class.
Gardner's got him way too hard.
Sam Lowe's
Well,
says hello as well.
Lowe's does to Gardner, a little bit like what Gardner did to Joe Roberts for the podium at the last corner, or the last couple of corners in Portimao last time out. Gardner just got in that fraction too hot, then he tried to find a way through on Ralph Fernandez. He knew Lowe's was right on his case, and he knew that move was coming if he made the mistake, and sadly he did. So the hard work to do all over again for Remy Gardner.
My, this opens the championship up nicely, doesn't it? Bezzecchi would be 12 points away, 5 splitting the top 3 as things stand.
That would be awesome. That's how we like it going into round 5. The legendary Bugatti circuit in Le Mans, the next stop on our 2021 schedule.
Fabio Gianantonio is about to cross the line and is just 3 laps away from his first ever win in Moto 2. In Grassini colours as well. He crosses the line, 2.5 seconds clear, yet another 41. 7 for him. In complete control, no tyre drop. It's his to lose now. Fernandez is getting really twitchy and nervous as he came through turn 2.
There was a moment first on the front, then one on the rear as he got the power back on, so we can clearly see what his issues are. It's grip at the moment from both front and rear.
Santos trying to get himself back on the podium after the hiccup in Portugal.
Well, his eyes would have been lighting up inside that helmet when he saw those 2 moments at turn 2 for Fernandez. There's still a long way to go here for Fernandez to defend that last podium position. 2.5 laps.
Turn 6
on lap 21, and it's number 22 who's trying to find a way through onto the podium.
Around turn 8, on board with Ralph Fernandez, looking back to 22, Sam Lowe's. Now with Sam Lowe's, we eye the hunt and the battle for the final podium space. Bezzecchi looks like he's clear and home and dry for second. 2.8 seconds clear out front now is Di Gianantonio, who's just got 2 and a bit laps left.
Just doesn't look like Fernandez can attack hard on that front end like he was in the first half of the race. Not saying he's a passenger here, but he's definitely struggling.
Yeah, is Sam close enough? Not right now. Let's have a look into turn 13. For the next lap, perhaps. Gardner's still well in frame as well to try and fight for 5th. We saw how aggressive he's happy to be on the final lap last time out.
Yeah, it was quite easy to spot the mistakes that are coming from Ralph Fernandez, because the guy is normally so silky smooth and clean that his bike's never out of shape, never out of line. So it's quite easy to see actually when he's having those moments.
Yeah, that was coming. That was coming. And there was a twitch on the front end there from Ralph Fernandez as well, and that allows Remy Gardner through. Who now wants to look at Sam Lowe's, because all of a sudden Remy Gardner's gone from 5th to thinking he might be on for 3rd.
Sam Lowe's has got to be close to lead the World Championship again, hasn't he? This could be pretty interesting in the last couple of laps. You've got to think that Fernandez has probably got nothing left now. Nothing left. Again, that rear tyre squirming on the gas coming out of the Ponce corner.
Remy Gardner will just try and line himself up here for a lunge at turn 13. He wasn't close enough to Sam Lowe's there through turn 6. So Fernandez's chances have gone then.
There's nothing that Fernandez can do here. He is now starting to look like a bit of a passenger on top of that Kalex chassis, because just look how quickly and easily Lowe's and Gardner have gapped him.
Remy Gardner as well. Doesn't look like he's got an awful lot of tyre left in him. He's just desperate to try and now creep a bit closer to Sam Lowe's. He's not close enough at the moment to make a move into turn 13, and there's only a lap and a sector left to go in this race.
Yeah, now there's Sam Lowe's. The gap to Bezzecchi was 1.2 seconds. I can't believe that Lowe's is going to take such big risks to surrender a podium here after his exit early on in Portugal.
We start the final lap of the race here then in the Grand Prix of Spain. Fabio Gianantonio on the brink of winning his first ever Moto2 race. Bezzecchi looks well set for second. Sam Lowe's is currently in 3rd. Remy Gardner 4/10 away from the Brit. Can he do anything about that gap to try and force his way back onto the podium?
Look at Ralph Fernandez on the last lap. Yes, okay, he's a long way clear of Chamiviere, but he was in the mid-44s. Fernandez, he's just completely burnt out those tyres. That's all down to experience, nothing more.
It has been such an emotional rollercoaster in Gresini after the sad passing.
Lows.
Bit of a moment there on the gas coming down the back straight.
Just lighting up that rear tyre. Looks like he's got a pretty decent margin though back to Gardner.
I think he'll be alright.
Yeah. Probably actually, if Samlo's looking at this, all this spots and maybes, maybe another 2 or 3 laps they might have had something in the locker. Bezzecchi.
There were tears in the opening round for Gian Antonio as he paid tribute to Fausto Gresini just by being on the podium. But we've not seen anything like this from the Italian. It's been an outstanding ride.
I don't think there's going to be a dry eye in the house again here today, is there?
Sam Lowe's actually, fair effort here. He's really closed up to the tail of Marco Bezzecchi.
Just going to run out of time, isn't he? Gardner looks like he's taking his medicine. Looks like it's going to be 4th place for him.
Fabio Di Gianantonio, please don't do that. He's celebrating early. Now, we've seen this a few times. I don't like this. Just get round that final corner, please.
Started to cross all fingers and toes.
Yeah, he's okay.
It's job done. Absolutely brilliant.
Fabio Di Gianantonio, outstanding win. His first in Moto 2, and it's an Italian 1-2 as well as Bezzecchi's on the podium for the first time in 2021. Sam Lowe's returns to the podium in 3rd, ahead of Remy Gardner and Raul Fernandez. But what a moment for the Gresini team after the most unbelievably difficult